Connecting two Boss RC500 units, getting them to work together simultaneously is a single unit, and a little bonus in there, the ability to do an all start, all stop, but that'll be at the more towards the end, so we're not going to worry about this right now. Alright, first things first, we got a master and a slave. I like to do mine left to right. Some people like to go right to left. Mine is left to right. So this here's the leader, this here's the follower. This follows what's going on here. First, we're just gonna worry about plugs and routing, and then we'll go into the settings within the device. Alright, first things first, we gotta get some power. Plug it in using your very official Boss power supply units. Next step, the whole reason I'm doing this video, MIDI out on the leader, MIDI in on the follower. Alright, now if we're gonna make some music, we gotta get an instrument in here. Let's bring back our old friend, the Akai MPK Mini Play. Those batteries that came with the new RC500 unit came in handy, which if you wanna go see an unboxing, go ahead and watch it. Alright, so you instrument out from your instrument. Already making a mess, okay. To instrument in on the leader. Alright, your leader can now record in loop. Instrument going in and is going out when this will give us power. Output A, if you can see that. And it will go from output A to input A. Then from input A, and we will go through output A. Here's where things start to get a little tricky. You're gonna go from output A to an amplifier with multiple channels to a mixer or a USB audio interface, because this will be involving two separate channels. You're gonna wanna go over to your compact amplifier. Whoa, this is gonna be fun to edit. So output A into your first channel. Okay, now the leader will need a separate output. Now the leader needs a plug going from output B to your amplifier or mixer, and we will plug it into the second input on the amplifier or USB mixer, or whatever you have. And while we're here, something very important in my specific setup, this will give you the ability to have a reliable all start, all stop, which in my opinion is extremely important with looping. So let's give this some power. Using a TRS cable to go out of A/B, okay, so output AB to control 1 and 2 on the leader unit. Then I'm using a mono cable to go from output A to the follower unit's expression control pedal input. Alright, you can go back and watch it if you need to. This is all the routing that you need for my personal setup. And what a beautiful mess of wires we have, which I'm gonna have to organize again. So support my channel, subscribe, find me on Patreon. This is gonna take me a long time to take apart and put back together. Just be a cool human, you know. Alright, let's dive into the settings. You know what, while the lighting is good, you can actually see these numbers pretty well. Alright, who's ready for some menu diving? Here we go. Let's go through the BoneZone settings. Alright, to get this to work, we're gonna go through the routing settings. Okay, so first let's think about our instrument in. So the instrument in settings are in the input section. Mic in, instrument in, same dang thing. Just a different input on the back of the unit. Alright, so for the leader unit, instrument in is I have output through output A. I don't use the rhythm, but if you like using the rhythm, you could probably figure it out. So the instrument in is going out through output letter A. Now that is going in to the follower unit in instrument in A, which needs to be routed through the output if you want to hear you playing music. I think this is going to be the clearest way to explain it. So output A, so the instrument in settings, right here, instrument in is going out through output A. And the output is going into the amplifier, so just make sure your amplifier is on. Alright, so the second thing we need to think about is the loops. Where are the loops going? So you do not want the loop going from the leader to the follower, because it will be re-recording and it will not work. So the leader has its own separate output, output B. So the loops will be recorded from the instrument in, and they will be outputted through track 1 and track 2. Well, where's track 1 and track 2 going? You need to click track 1, track 1 output, output B. And then from here you can click track 2 and it'll be on the same spot. Track 2 output needs to be B. So the loop is now being routed from output B into the amplifier. That is the looping output for the leader unit. Let's go to the follower unit. You want the loop output. You could make this output separate, but I'm just gonna have it be going through output A. If you wanted to separate that, you could just do output B and plug another cable in, go into the amplifier, but I'm just gonna keep it on the same one. So we need to go to track 1, output. We need to go output A. And track 2 needs to be through output A. So everything, the instrument in and the outputs are going through output A, which is not a problem on here. Okay, let's talk about MIDI settings now. Very important. All right, so we're gonna go to the leader unit. You're gonna click on menu, go to MIDI. All right, I don't think that's important. Not important, not important, not important. Sync clock is MIDI. Clock out, on, very important for the leader unit. Sync start, I actually have that off. PC out, which will allow you to change memories as a single unit, that is on. I don't think these are important, but MIDI through is off and USB through is off. That's the menu settings. Now we need to go over here to track 1. I don't think these are super important on the leader unit, but I have loop sync on for track 1 and track 2, and tempo sync on for track 1 and track 2. Alright, so that's the MIDI settings on the leader unit. The follower unit, again, same thing on these. I don't think they're important, but there they are. Sync clock, MIDI. Clock out, off. Sync start, I have turned off for a specific reason I'll explain later. PC out is on. That might not be important on this unit, but it's on. MIDI through is off. USB through is off. Now over here, track 1 settings. Loop sync is on. The follower unit settings, track 1, loop sync on, tempo sync on. Track 2, tempo sync on, loop sync on. Alright, so from the settings that we just set, as you can see here, this is one of my favorite parts. The PC out setting, we can now change tracks simultaneously. That gives it a really nice single unit feel. Your settings for these buttons may vary, but I will explain how I have them routed. But first, let's go to the Footswitch. Okay, so this was important for me specifically because I wanted to get that all start, all stop feature, and it's really hard to do without this. It's actually kind of impossible to do without this. Because, and unless someone figures out something different, if you're like some weird tech wizard magic guy, girl, person, this is the best thing you got. Okay, so as we did earlier, we plugged them into both units. So let's go over to the leader unit settings. And you're gonna wanna click memory. Go to control. Now the weird thing here, and I don't know if it's just the cable, so a weird thing here is control 2 is actually A, control 1 is B. Why? Don't know. Maybe it's something I did, but this is what's going on. All right, so in the leader unit, we're going to control 2 function, which will be, there's all kinds of things you can do. It'll be all start, which is actually all start, all stop. So I apologize if this is confusing, but for some reason on my follower unit, control 1 function is A. Could be different for you. So A controls control 2 on the leader unit, A controls control 1 on the follower unit. My apologies if that's confusing as balls. So letter A control, that's what we'll call it. So we'll call it this. Letter A control needs to be an all start, all stop, as well as an all start, all stop on the leader unit, if I can find it. Here we go, all start. You're now left with one output on the Boss Footswitch, which you can route it wherever you want. You could take it to the leader unit and make it do some crazy things, or the follower unit, make it do some crazy things. Whatever you want, we're going to ignore it for now. Alright, so that is the routing and the settings that you need to have for this to work properly. Thanks for watching the video. Give it a like or something, whatever's trendy these days that you're watching this video. If you would like to stick around, I will demonstrate and I'll talk about some of the pros and cons of this setup. I'll also be touching over some important cons with this setup, but basically as far as like a 4-track looper setup, I would say it's like 90% there, and with some practice, you can do this very professionally and very reliably. It's been working out very well for me. I did a whole BoneZone Radio with this setup, and I'm going to be doing more. So that's on my music channel. Go check that out as well. That's where all the fun happens. Okay, while my lighting is good, let's get this going. So let's demonstrate how this works. Beautiful. All right, we got our old friend the Akai MPK Mini Play here. Let's get some volume. Okay. Good Lord. I'm getting a lot of unnecessary noise here. Alright, just changed my instrument cable because I was getting some fun noises. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Alright, so as you can see, that all was synchronized very nicely. And as you can see, I just used the all start, all stop with the settings that I had. It works very well. Boom. So we run into a little teeny tiny problem when we have a leader and a follower. So the follower, when the follower makes up his own mind with the tempo, so let's say you press play on the follower, it works. And you can have fun with that. But, however, if you try to bring this back in, it will not be synchronized. The synchronization has basically been destroyed. It will, however, with my settings, be the same tempo. So as long as you start this in time, it'll be fine. Same thing the other way around. Allow me to demonstrate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Start on the money. Start on the money, you don't have any problems. But if you don't start on the money and you're not good and you suck, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I just, oh God, oh no. Now that right there is the biggest problem with this setup, but fortunately, it's not a devastating problem. As long as you know how to start something in time, it will work. Again, you can go here, play around with that if you have just a drum track here, or you could do some cool drones. You could do an ambient track over here, and then here's specifically what I like to do. So that's going on. So you see how that's a little workaround for that problem. You just stop these tracks and then start them back up together. What's nice about the PC out, when they change together, you can basically erase the memory easily by just going up one and going down one. That's actually how I usually route my B setting. I just route it to the memory change and it goes up one, basically clears everything. You just have to be careful not to press that. Alright, I'm going to do one more little song here and demonstrate how I use the looper. Maybe give you some ideas on how to use this. Alright, so let's check it out. So if you're new to looping, basically, if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you're new to looping, this is basically what a looping does. It's basically a recorder that you can record and play back. You can also overdub. Allow me to demonstrate. You can throw a drum track on there. Let's use this. More drums. Alright, so we already have a song. That's what's nice about looping. Now, what else is fun, I can continue recording with my specific setup. There's all kinds of loopers out there. There's single-track loopers, there's two-track loopers, and I have two-track loopers combined. They're synchronized, which took a lot of work. You can check that video out on how to do that on BoneZone Studio, but allow me to demonstrate what's going on here. So here we go. And I just did an all start, all stop. Now I can solo over everything, and then I can take parts away, bring parts in, layer. So here we go. Now I can elaborate on my solos. And then I can bring all of them back in at once, creating a really cool spot in the song, also known as the ending. Alright, lastly, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the comments section and I'll try to answer them. No, I'm kidding. I'll try to answer them as clearly as I can because these are pretty complicated units, but once you get the settings down, it's not too bad. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you all again in the BoneZone, and go check out BoneZone music channel. That's where I put out all my music. I think I got some pretty cool stuff going on there, and I will be demonstrating this more on that channel as well. See y'all again in the BoneZone.